So greetings of the day, students. So today I'm going to introduce you with some basics of Python programming. So without wasting any time, let's start with it. So there are some topics that I have already discussed with you in our last class, and I am giving you a quick recap of what we have done. So I have introduced you with the tokens, right? Tokens in Python. You can see I have highlighted it here. Tokens in Python. Okay, so by tokens, what do you mean? So every program I told you is made up of, it is a sequence of instructions. Can you see here? Sequence of instructions, it means that you are writing something. Okay, so if I'm writing int a, right, in case of C++, it means I'm writing one instruction. How many instructions I have written here? It is only one instruction. So this program is made up of only one instruction. Okay, later on, if I also write something like, suppose I write char b, it means how many instructions are there? This program is now made up of two instructions. Okay, but as we are talking about Python, so in Python there is nothing like int a, char b. You just write the variable name and then you give it any value. So for instance, if I am giving it value 2, okay, so 2 will be assigned to a. This 2 value I am going to assign to a, right? So this program is made up of how many instructions? Total one instruction. Later on, if I write b and I assign it value 5, it means this is the second instruction. So a program is actually made up of some instruction in a sequence, in a line. Okay, so number one instruction is a equals to 2, number 2 instruction is b equals to 5. Got it? And when you just compile it, right, before running it, you compile it. So what happens? All the instructions, they are divided into small parts, and those small parts are known as tokens. Okay, so there are some tokens that are supported, and you can say that keywords are also tokens, identifiers are also tokens, operators are also tokens, and then there are delimiters and literals. And I have told you about all these, that any reserved word, right, the words which are reserved, you know, there are some reserved seats for some people. When you visit any restaurant, they say that this table is reserved. Now what do you mean by reserved? Reserved means it is already booked by someone. You can't sit over there and you can't dine there, you can't eat anything over there. Okay, so similarly, if is a reserved word and it is reserved by if statement. Okay, you can't create a variable with the name if. I am creating a variable if and I am assigning it value 2. Not possible. This is not possible because if is a reserved word. It has its own purpose. You can't write it as a name for your own variable. However, you can create a variable like this, a equals to 2. This is possible. This a is not reserved, but this if is reserved. Similarly, there is else, there is for. So all these are reserved words. Okay, then there are identifiers that we use to define our variable. Okay, even we find them with their name, that are known as identifiers. So in this program, if I say, please help me to identify a variable, okay, so you can identify it. Okay, this is a variable that my teacher is asking about. Okay, so you are able to identify them with their names. Okay, so you give them unique names that are known as variables. Then there are operators. Operators means any special symbol that is used to perform some operation. For example, you can see here, plus is an operator that is used to do addition. This asterisk sign is an operator which is used to do multiplication, and so on. There are so many operators. Then there are delimiters that I told you, that there are some special symbols that you use as delimiters. So in case of C++, you remember that every statement ends with the semicolon, right? You have a semicolon, right? And when we will do this Python in detail, I will introduce you with some delimiters. Okay, then there are literals. So now what is a literal? So you can see this statement when I write a equals to 2. Okay, so here a is it is an identifier, equals to is an operator, and this 2 value, this is a literal. So all the values that you assign or use in a program, that are known as literals. Okay, so if I write here, let me write it here, that a is equals to Navleen. Okay, I am writing my name and I am assigning my name to a variable. Okay, so here a is again, it is an identifier, equals to is an operator if I talk about tokens, and this Navleen is a literal because this is a meaning that I am going to assign. So after that, I have introduced you with the Python core data types. Although I have told you that there is no need of writing this thing in Python. Int, then a, and then you have to give it a value a equals to 2. This is about C++. In C++, you write it like this, right? But in Python, this step is not required. This step where you are declaring the variable, you directly start with this step. It means in Python, if I'm writing something, if I want that a should contain value 2, I don't need this declaration. This, I directly write a equals to 2. Okay, so although I am not declaring it in Python because it is not required, still the data that I am creating has some data type, right? Obviously, if I'm creating a data, I'm creating a data with the name a, and I am assigning it value 2. Okay, so obviously this a variable has some data type. So for this particular example, as 2 is being assigned to it, it means this a has the value of the type integer. Okay, so there are some data types that are being supported in Python. So very first is integer. Okay, and the example are that you have 10, 20, and even the negative integers in it. Then there is float data that you called floating point in C++, right? And it has the values of the type which has decimal in it. Like with the example 1.2 is a floating point number, 25.6 is a floating point number. So everything that has a decimal in it, it means it is not clear, discrete, right? It is continuous. Okay, then there are complex numbers. If you remember, if you have done mathematics, so you always represent the complex numbers with the name a plus iota b. This is how you write it over there, a plus iota b. But in case of Python, your iota is represented by j. The symbol has changed, otherwise everything is same. Okay, so there are so many examples of complex numbers, right? Endless examples. Then there is a Boolean. Boolean is the only data type which has only 2 examples. That's it. Okay, so the one is the capital T true. Why I am saying capital T true? Because if you write true with small t, true with small t, that will be a wrong value of Boolean. So it is always capital T. And then there is false with capital F. So it has only 2 values, right? Then we have strings. In C++, you call them the characters, right? In Python, we have strings. Okay, so string can be a single string, like where I write only, suppose I write only a equals to s. So this is a single letter string. You can also write 2-letter string a equals to on, right? You can also write multiple strings, multiple letter strings where with spaces also, like hi, right? And then you can write how are you with the space in it. So you can write a statement. Can you see here, hello and world? There are 2 words in a single string. Even the space is counted also. This one space in between is also counted. And then this is also a string. So strings are endless, right? Even students, if you write a equals to, and here you put your 1, which is otherwise an integer, you put it in single quotes or in double quotes, that too will become a string now, not an integer. Got it? So you can check the type of any data by using which function I told you. Just write type, and then in the brackets of type you can pass anything. For example, here I am passing hello world, which is a string because it is in single quotes, so it has returned me it is a string. Now next time to type I have passed an integer 1 2 3, so it has returned me okay, it is an integer. Next time I have passed it a complex number, so it has returned me that it is a complex number. Okay, and then we have worked on print function. Okay, so what is the purpose of print function? So if someone asks you what is the purpose of print, it means to print something. Okay, so where you want to print it? On the screen, obviously, for you people. Okay, so I have added something, I have done the addition, and I want to see the result. It means I want to print something. I want to print a message on the screen, print hello world. It means if you want to print something on the screen, which function you are going to use? You are going to use print function. And this print p is always a small p. You know that this your Python language, it is a case sensitive language. And by case sensitive, it is sensitive to case. If something is in uppercase, it considers it different. And if something is in lowercase, it will consider it different. Okay. Otherwise, you write all the statements of Python, in which case you write it in lowercase. Right? For example, if I'm writing print, everything is in lowercase. If I write input function, everything is in lowercase. However, the variables that you create, they can be in uppercase also. For example, if I write a equals to 2, it means this is one variable with the value 2. If I write a equals to 3 in the same program, this is possible because this is lowercase a. It will be considered separate by the Python, and this is uppercase a. Okay, so both these variables in the same code is possible and will be considered different by your Python. Your Python will not get confused. Okay, so if I will write print a, so which variable's value it will print? It will print 2. If I will write print capital A, so which variable's value it will print? It will print 3, which is in capital A. Okay, so although variables can be in uppercase or lowercase, but case sensitivity will work here. The lower a or upper a will be considered differently, but your language, you write everything in lowercase. The code will be only in lowercase. One exception is that your variables, they can be both in lowercase and uppercase. Okay, so this is the syntax of print. Okay, you write print and then you pass the arguments to it. Okay, so the arguments that you pass can be anything. It can be of the type integer. Okay, it can be of the type string. It can be of the type float. Okay, so let me give you an example here. So if I write print 2, so it means this argument is of the type integer. If I write print high in single quotes or in double quotes, it means this is an argument of the type string. If I write print 2.56, so it means this particular argument is of the type float. So argument can be of any time. Even you can print Boolean values, you can write print true and it will print it. So while writing true, don't put it in single quotes. That will be a wrong thing, because if you put it in single quotes, this will be a normal string. It will become a string. So never put single quotes if you are writing Boolean true in it. Now it's up to you. Okay, so there is one way to print, that you assign value to a variable a equals to 10 and then print a. This is your choice. If you have one variable and you want to print it. Other way is, this is one way where you are assigning value 10 to a and then you are printing it. What will be the output? Output will be 10. The other way is you directly write 10 in it, right? So if you directly write 10, it means still it is going to print what? It is going to print 10. It's up to you. And it also depends upon what is the requirement of your code. Okay, so after that, I told you about assigning values to a variable. Okay, so if you have a variable with you, you can assign it any value. This is what we have done since we were kids. In maths class also, if your teacher says, let's suppose there is a variable who has value 10. So how you write it? Okay, my teacher is saying that there is a variable whose value is 10. So you write it like this, a equals to 10. Okay, so you always write a variable name and then you use the assignment operator that is known as equals to, and then you use the value that you want to assign it. Okay, so if you print the value of a, it will return you 10. In case of this whole thing is on shell, on idle, right? So string is equals to, in the variable str, you can assign it value hello, and when you print str, it will print the value for you. This is a simple thing, nothing difficult about it. Okay. After that, I told you one magical concept. This is a magical concept. Why it is magical? Because this concept is only possible in Python. This concept was not possible in other languages, C++, C, Java or anything. Okay. And it is known as multiple assignments. Means in a single line, you are assigning multiple values to multiple variables. For example, if I want that my A should has, just listen to me. If I want that my A has 10 value and my B has 20 value. My, excuse me, my A, I want that my A should store 10 value and my B should store 20 value. So this is how you do otherwise. So this is normal assignment, right? 2 assignments. For assigning 2 values, you are using how many assignments? Statements, 2 assignment statements. But with the help of multiple assignment method, I can do this in a single line, this whole thing. How I can do? So I have 2 variables in my mind. One is A and other one is B. So I write them with the comma, A comma B. Okay, then I use this assignment operator because I am assigning values. So I was asked that A should be 10. So as A is at place 1, it is in the beginning. So I will write 10 for it. And then I want to assign value to B. So I put comma and 20 value will be assigned to B. Okay, so here is an example. This is the syntax. You can write any number of variables. For example, here I have written only 2 variables, but you can write any number of variables. Then you put the equals to, and then you can write any number of expressions. Okay, so by expression, what I mean, I will tell you later. Okay, so here is an example similar to my example, that there are 2 variables. One is P, other one is Q. And you are assigning the value 10 and 20 respectively. So if you write P, just consider it is capital P. Okay. So if you write capital P, the output will be 10 because this P got the value 10. And if you print Q, so your Q will get the value 20 because this assignment has given these values to it. Okay. So now this expression thing, I told you that you give the values, you give the literals, but why it is saying that you can give expressions? So let me explain you. So suppose I write A comma B, and then I write an expression here. Expression means there are literals and then there are operators. I write 10 comma 20 comma 2 comma 3. So this is an expression. So what will happen? This is also possible. So what will happen? This expression will be calculated first. So it means 30. 10 plus 20 is 30. And when you print the value of A, so you get that A has value what? 30 in it. And when you try to print the value of B, you will get that the value of B is 5. So you can directly assign them values, you can directly assign them literals, or you can also put any expression. That expression will be automatically evaluated. And when you print the values, that particular expression will be directly giving you the solved value. So the next topic that I'm going to cover is actually input function. Okay, so what actually input function does? So it is doing the reverse of your print. So if your print is printing something on the screen, okay, for user to see with his or her eyes. Okay, what this input function is doing? It is asking the user to input something. So it is taking input from the user. Okay, what it is doing, it is taking or accepting input from the user. Right. So let's discuss the syntax. So whenever you get the input from the user, so suppose user has this thing in his mind that user wants to add 2 numbers, A and B. This thing is in user's mind that I want to create a code that is going to add 2 numbers, A and B. Okay, so at some point of time, user has to provide the values to these 2 numbers, to these 2 variables, sorry. Okay, so suppose if user provided 2 and user provided 3, so the program will do the addition and will return you 5. This is how it will happen. So actually these two variables need some values. Okay, so the one way of doing it is directly assign the value like this: a equals to 2, b equals to 3, and then you can directly do print a plus b like this. So what will happen? 5 will be printed. So by writing this thing, by writing 3 lines of this code, you are able to do addition. But there is one drawback, students. What is that drawback? The drawback is that the value of a is fixed. It is 2. And the value of b is fixed. It is 3. So every time you run this code you run, every time you run, suppose you are running it 10 times. So the value, the output every time you will get is 5, 5, 5, right? With every run, the output will always be 5. Okay. But what will happen if you want to add some other numbers? I don't want to add 2, 3 every time. I want that 5 and 6 should be added. So what I have to do with this program, I have to go to the code again. I have to delete this thing. I have to write 5 here. I have to write 6 here. Then I have to run it. And again, when I run it, this time I got the value 11. But now if I run it again and again, the value will remain fixed, 11 and 11. I want a new number to be added. So again, I have to go to the code and I have to give it new values and I have to run it. This is not a good practice at all. What practice? What practice I'm talking about is not good. This practice of going to the code, doing changes, giving it new values, because more you change your code, more are the chances that you can put errors in it. Okay, this code is not flexible. I am changing it again and again, and while changing it, might be the chances are like this, that I have a equals to 2, b equals to 3, and next time I want that this 2 should be deleted. Okay, and while deleting it by mistake, what will happen? I have deleted this equals to also, and I have assigned it new value a4. I have assigned it like this, a4 b equals to 3. Now I have entered some error. Okay, so more you change your code, more chances are that you put errors in it. This is a simple program. Later on in life, you will create code which has thousands of lines. So is it good practice to every time go to your code, change the values in it? No, this is not a good practice. My program should be flexible. Flexible to get any number of values, to handle any number of values without changing the code. Okay, so how that is possible? This input function is helping me with it. Okay, so let's discuss the syntax. So first you need a variable, right? Like we have a variable a, and I want that user should input some value in it. So I write a, that is a variable name, equals to, and then I write the input function. So how you write input and then the parenthesis. Okay, this is one way. But if you want that some message should also be displayed, like while entering any value, you want that you get a message also. Can you see here? str1 is a variable name, any variable name, equals to input, and then I have given a message. Please enter the string. It means when this code will run, the user will get a message, please enter the string, and then he can enter any value, for example, Amit. And when you print that string, Amit will be printed. Okay, so if you don't write anything inside this input, you will get no message. You directly write anything, you are confused what value I am asked by the code. Maybe code is asking me integer value, or maybe code is asking me to enter string. So you are confused. But with this way, you can give the user an idea. Okay, input a string. Okay, input an integer. Okay, input a number. So when that message will be there, the user can print the desired input. So I'm going to file and I'm opening a new file. So this is the file where I'm going to write my code. So what my code is about, it is to add 2 numbers. Okay, so I can give one heading, code to add 2 numbers. Okay, so you can zoom the screen of your mobile if you find that the font of my code is very small. So anytime you can zoom out the screen of your mobile or the laptop that you are using. Okay, so I told you that if you use input function, So for adding two numbers, what is the requirement? First, you need two numbers, only then you can add it. Now to get the two numbers, I'm using which function? Input function, right? So how to write that? So I'm writing a equals to, and then I'm writing input, right? And then I am writing enter. I'm giving a message here. The message I was talking about, enter first number. So user will get an idea that, okay, I have been prompted to enter the very first value. Then b equals to input. This is the second value I'm going to ask. Enter second number. Okay. So these two statements are actually helping me to enter the two values. So here I am entering it in A and here I am entering it in B. So if I got these two values, what I want to do? I want to do the addition. So you can take a temporary variable C to do the addition, and then you can print the added value, which is in C. Okay. I also told you one drawback of input, that it automatically converts everything into string. So it means if you pass 2, it will convert it into string. So you can write int in front of it, or you can write eval also, that I told you in the lab class. So let's save it. I am saving it on the desktop, and let's the name this time be 4. Okay. So when I run this code, what will happen? I will be asked to enter the very first number. So if I enter 3, I enter 4 as a second number, I got the value 7. Right? Next time again, if I want to add some new values, this time what values I have added? I have added different values. Next time I want to add some different numbers, so I don't have to make changes in it. I simply have to press run, and this time I can pass different values, 67 and 76. So this is a flexible program. You create it once, you can run it multiple times, and every time you run it, you can add different values to it. So this is the plus point of input. Got it? So what is the syntax of your input? Let me help you with that. So the syntax is, just see here, you have this enter first value, you write input, and then you write, let me zoom it for you. You write input, and then you write enter, you write any message, enter value. Okay. So whatever value this input will help you to get from the user, obviously you will store it somewhere. So this is the exact syntax. Okay. And the drawback of input actually made it necessary to put this int or eval in front of it, so that your value will be automatically converted and you will not end up with an error. So the next thing that we are going to do is that there are inbuilt functions. If you remember that when you did functions in C++, I don't know if you remember or not, the functions are of two types, right? Sometimes you call them built-in, means already there, already present, you just use them. And other are user-defined functions, means user create them. Okay, so I'm not going to focus on this because it is a separate topic. So my focus is on built-in functions, functions which are already present. Their coding is already there in Python. And how to use them? You just need to know their names, and with their names you can use them. Okay, so see here the very first function. Okay, so what is the name of the function? Name of the function is max, max, max. So it is an inbuilt function and the name is max. And to max you can pass in the brackets, because a function always has the parenthesis where you can pass parameters. Okay, so maximum, to maximum you can pass any number of values. Okay, and it will return you the largest. So if I'm passing it x1, x2, so on up to xn, so it will return me which value out of these values is actually the maximum value. Okay, so here is an example. So I'm doing it on the shell. You can do it in the file, program file also. So you just write max, which is the name of your function, and In the parameter list, you have to pass some values. So for this example, 3 values are passed, 10, 20, 30, and all the values, they are comma separated. Okay, and the time you press enter, it will return you the maximum value. So out of 10, 20, and 30, the 30 is the maximum value. So it has returned you the maximum value. The second one is min. So it is the opposite of max. It will return you the smallest value. So if to min I pass 10, 20, and 30, sorry, here is an error. Okay, so 10, 20, and 30, so it will return you 10. Okay, I will show you these all on the shell also. So 10, 20, and 30, it will return you 10. After that, there is this function. The name of the function is absolute. You can see it here, absolute. Okay, so what do you mean by absolute? Absolute means that it will return you the positive value, right? What value? It will return you the positive value always. Okay, so suppose to absolute, can you see here, to absolute function, if I pass minus 10, which is a negative value, it will automatically return you the positive of it. So what is the positive of it? Just 10. Okay, so whatever value you pass it, it will just turn it into positive value, plus value. Okay, so but if you directly pass it positive value, 4 is already positive, so it will not do any changes, it will return you directly 4. Okay, so absolute means the positive value, the plus value, it will just remove the negative sign. Then there is this function power x comma y. So power x comma y means that if you want to calculate the power, so it returns you, it gives you x raised to the power y. Okay, so what do you pass? You pass to POW, that is power function, two variables x and y. You can see the example here. To power, I have passed 2 and I have passed 3. So what it is doing? It is giving me 2 raised to power 3. It is working like this. So 2 raised to power 3 is, it will return you 8. Okay, so it always do first variable raised to power second variable. Okay, next is round. We have used this function so many times in mathematics. We have used this also. All these are mathematical functions actually. Okay, so round means it return the value nearest to the value of x. So whatever x you pass, it will give you the rounded value. So here is an example. So you mostly pass it floating point values. Round 10.23. Okay, so if after decimal there is a number, can you see after decimal the number is 2? Okay, so if the number is greater than equals to 5, okay, can you see this number 2? It is less than equals to 5. But if the number is greater than equals to 5, this value will be incremented by 1. Can you see here 10.90? After decimal, the number is 9, which is greater than 5. Okay, so automatically this number will be incremented 11. But if it is less than 5, it means it is 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 0. The same value will be returned. The 10 will be returned. Okay, so for value 10.6, what will it become? It will become 11. For value 10.3, it will remain 10. So this is the shell. I'm doing it here. So I have the function with the name max. Okay, so what I am doing, so to max I pass some values. Okay, so let the values be 56, 100, 76. Okay, so out of these values, obviously the maximum value will be returned to me, and 100 is the maximum value. So when I pressed enter, I got 100. Now I am going to use min. Okay, so if to min I pass the same values like 56, 100, 76. Okay, so it will automatically return me the minimum value. I have missed the bracket. So obviously the minimum value is 56. I got the minimum value out of these three. Then there is this absolute function. So you write the name absolute and then you can pass it any negative value. So suppose if I pass it minus 23, it will return me the positive. It will just remove the sign, right? Even if you just pass it only the positive, it will not do any change. Okay, after that we have power, that is POW. Don't write power completely. I'm taking the name power because actually it has the meaning power, right? So it is actually power. So to power, you can give any two numbers. So suppose I want that 5 should be raised to the power 2. Okay. So 5 raised to power 2, it means 5 twice, that is 25. Got it? If I want that 3 should be raised to power with the 3, it will be 3 multiplied by itself 3 times, that will be 27. Right? 3 raised to power 3 is 27. After that, we have this round function that I have explained. So if you have number 11.6, so it will be rounded off and you will get 12. If you have number round and you want to round 2.2, so obviously after point the number is less than 5, so you will get 2 only. So these are the functions that I explained you through PPT. Now I have explained all these functions with the help of what? With the help of a code in the Python shell. Okay. So the other way is if you want to create a new file, so you can write it here also. Okay. But you know that your file system is not that interactive. So if you want to calculate the maximum of these 3 numbers, suppose, okay, or the minimum of these 3 numbers, 45, 67, 1, right? Or even if you want to do the absolute -1, your program will not show you anything unless you put all these things under print. So I'm saving it on the desktop, 5, right? And if I run it, see what will happen. I got nothing. Why I'm not getting nothing? Because this interactive shell is printing it, but this file system is not that interactive. So to print it on the screen, I have to put everything inside print function. Okay. So I'm putting all the code inside the brackets of print like this. Okay. And even I want to print what is the absolute of -1. Now when run it, I will get the output 67, 1, and what is the other value? 1. So out of 54, 37 and 67, 67 is the maximum. Out of 45, 67 and 1 is the minimum. And if you print the absolute of -1, it is -1. And you can try any number of functions that I have told you. Okay. So, but these functions are under some module. Okay. Can you see here the list of functions? And these functions are under which module? Math module. Now someone has asked me that what is module? Okay. So if you remember in case of C++, you always include one file, #include, and then you write math.h. Okay. So this header file that you include in case of C++, here you call it that it is a module. Instead of header file, you call it with the name module. Okay. So now all the functions which are under math module or math module in Python, we are going to do those functions. But to use those functions, you have to first include that module. Okay. So if any function belongs to math module, I have to first include math module, only then I can use that function. Okay. So can you see the very first function is ceil. So by ceil, I mean ceiling, you know. So ceiling means the top. The floor means the bottom. If you are sitting here, the ceiling is above you, right? From where your fan is hanging, and the floor is on the bottom. Okay. So if I use this function ceilx, so can you see here? Before using this function, I have to import math. So in case of C++, you write #include, and then you write math.h. But in case of Python, you write the keyword import, and then you write the name of the module that you want to import. So if I want to import math, I have to write import math. Okay. So first I have to import math. Then by writing math again dot ceil, right? Ceil means the name of the function. I can pass it any value. Okay. Now how this ceiling will work? Anything above it. For example, I have 10.1. So even if there is 1 above it, you will get 11. For 10.0, you will get only 10. This is the difference between round and ceil. In case of round, what happens? In case of round, if there is 10.6, only then you get 11. if you are using round. But in case of seal, after 10, even if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, it will always go to seal, means value will jump to the ceiling. Okay. On the contrary side, floor. For floor, again, you have to import math. You have to write math.floor. And 18.9, even if there is 18.1, 18.2, 18.3, it will stick to the minimum value, which is 18. So floor will always give you the minimum value. Even if it is 18.0, it will give you the minimum value, that is 18. Next is exponent. So exponent, if you have done it, it is e raised to power 6, where e has some value. Okay, so all you have to do is just write math dot exponent, and then you can pass it any value. It will automatically give you the exponent. You don't need to do the logic that how it is returning it to you. Next is log x. You have used log tables. So how to do math dot log? You want to find the log of this, it will give you the log. Then there is that you can find the log with some base. Sometimes you say log base 2, log base 10. Okay, so first, the very first parameter is the value for which you want to calculate log, and second is to what base. So if I write 8, find the log of 8 to the base 2, so it will return me 3.0. So the calculations happen at the end. So there are other functions also. There is square root, there is sine, cos, tan, assign a cos. There are so many functions. But the important is this, that the statement import math, this thing should be the very first statement that should be written on interactive mode when you are trying to execute any of the math functions. It means all these math functions are there. So you can't use them until and unless you are importing math module. So I have resumed. So very first thing that we will write, we will do the seal. Okay. So seal, and if I write 10.1, so what will I get? I will get an error. It means this normally, like you were doing round, you can't do it like that. It means you get an error. That name seal is not defined. It means you are using a function which is not defined. So you have to import the desired module. So I have written import math. Okay. So when I import math and I press enter, I will get nothing. But at the back end, what will happen? This module is now imported. Now if I write math dot seal like this, and then I can pass it a value 10.1, suppose. So the ceiling will always go to the top. It will always give you one value more than that. Let's try. Now again, you want to use this math dot seal for some other value. There is no need to import math again and again. So once you write import math, it means it will go throughout this session until and unless you close it. If you close it and open it again, only then you have to import it again. Once you imported it here, you can use it any number of times. So again, math dot seal. So if I want to do the sealing of 10.9, even then I will get 11. So all the values all the way from 1 to 9. But if I write math dot seal and I write 10.0, then I will get only 10. It means a bit higher value after it, from 1 to 9, the value will go to the ceiling. It will go at the top. Okay. On the other side, if you want to use floor, math dot floor. See, I'm not importing math again and again because it is already imported. If I write 10.1, so I will get 10 only. Okay. Math dot floor. It means it will stick to the lowest value in it. That is the 10. If I write 10.9, it will return me again 10. Math dot floor. This time I am writing 10.0. It is always returning me the minimum value. Okay. So this is math dot floor. Right. After that, you can try all the other functions that are being shown to you in the PPT. So expressions and operators. Okay. So whenever you write something like that, this a equals to x plus y, right? It means this is an expression that is needed to be solved. For example, if you write a equals to 2 plus 3, so this is an expression, I have to solve it, and then the solved value will be assigned to a. Right? So what is an expression? An expression in Python is actually a code. Obviously, whatever you're writing, it's a code. And what it does, it produces a result.
or value. Can you see this expression will produce a value, that is 5, when it will be evaluated. Okay, and what you are going to do with that value, you are going to assign it. So an expression is a block of code that produces a result or value whenever you solve it or evaluate it. So an expression can be broken. So if you just broke it, this is an expression. If you just broke it, what you will get out of it? If I just take this example, 2 plus 3 is an expression. If I broke it into smaller parts, what will I get? I will get operators first. Can you see there is one operator out of it coming? That is plus operator. And I also get the operands. Operands mean data on which you apply that operator. 2 and 3 is the data, which is known as operand, and plus is the operator. So your expression is actually made up of operands, means data, and the operator. And what are operators? Operators are actually the symbols that help the user, or they actually command the computer, instruct the computer to perform any mathematical function. This plus operator is commanding the computer to do addition. So for example, this is an expression 6 plus 3. The plus is an operator. Okay, so every operator requires some data, some operands. Okay, so 6 and 3 are the operands for it. Okay, now there are certain categories of operators. First are arithmetic operators. Okay, arithmetic means like plus, minus, multiply, divide, and so on. Okay, and I hope that you have done it already, that these are of two types, unary operator and binary operator. Arithmetic operators are of two types, unary and binary. So what do you mean by unary? Unary operator performs mathematical operation on one operand only. So unary actually means 1. Binary means how many? 2. Okay, so unary means 1, binary means 2. Now what 1, what 2? What is 1, what is 2? The operands are 1. The operands are 2. In case of unary operator actually works on one operand, one data. Binary works on more than one. It means 2, 3, more than one operand. Binary means more than one, means 2. Actually 2. You can't say more than, you can directly say that they work on 2 operands. Here is an example. Okay, the plus and minus, they both are unary operators. How they are unary operators? If I like a equals to minus 5, so what will happen? This is a unary minus operator because it needs only one data. What it is going to do with that data? It is going to change the sign of it. It will become, if I write a equals to minus 5, this 5 will become negative value. Okay, if I write a equals to plus 5, this plus is also unary operator, although it is not making any changes by default. It is already positive number. So a equals to 5. So here your plus is actually a unary operator because it needs only one data. Okay, binary means where you need 2 operands, 2 data. For example, if I write plus and I write 3, this is one data, one operand, this is 10, this is second operand. To do addition, you minimum need 2 operands, that is known as binary operator. So it will add them and you will get 13. Similarly, if you have minus with you, it also needs 2 data elements, 10 and 7, for example, and it will give you the result 3. Okay, so unary operator means those operators that work on single data element. For example, if I write minus 5, it means it is just changing the sign. On the other hand, if you write binary minus, it needs 2 data elements, 2, 3 minus 2. One data element is this, other this. So minus and plus, they act both as unary and binary. Then there is this division operator. What is the purpose of division operator? You have 4, you divide it with 2. So this is your division. It will divide it and it will give you the quotient, which is 2.0, right? 4 divided by 2, you will get 2. If there is 2 divided by 3, it is not completely divisible. You can see something like this, some values in the decimal. So this is division operator. So floor division operator. Generally, students, if you divide, so can you see floor division is double slash? It is like this, floor division. And your normal division is just a single slash. You can see it from here, that division is single slash This is a new operator that is known as float division, and it comes with 2 slashes. Now, what is the difference between division and float division? Okay, so if I have the value 9 and I divide it with 4, you know that these two are not completely divisible. You will get some value like this, 2 point, suppose 3, something like this. But if you are not interested in the decimal value, you are not interested in this floating point value, you are just interested in the integer part. So you just do 9 divide by float divide by 4. This is float division of these two. It will return you only the integer part and just discard the floating point, the decimal part. Okay, so it will automatically returns you only the integer. Whereas if you do 9 divide by 4, it will give you decimal like this, something like this. Times modulo operator. This is something I have written with by mistake. Okay, so modulo operator is when you do the modulus of two numbers, it will return you, it will divide the numbers 21 with 9, and if there is any remainder, it will return you that. Can you see, if you divide 21 with 9, 9 2s are 18, and there is remainder 3. So this remainder you got because of this percentage, that is modulo operator. So if you write 21 percentage 9, it will return you the remainder part. However, if you write 21 divide by 9, it will return you the quotient 2. So this is something very basic, and I hope that you already understand this thing. Now this is exponent operator. This is known as the power operator. I told you about it already in the lab, and it is represented by 2 stars. Okay, so if you want to find the power of two numbers, so suppose I want that 5 raised to power 4, that is 625. 2 raised to power 3, that is 8. 2 raised to power 2, that is 4. So this exponent operator is the power operator. And we have done one function also, power 2 comma 2. This is also one way of calculating the power. You can either use this exponent operator, you can or use the power function. That's up to you. Then there are comparison operators. So first one we have already covered arithmetic, and they are of two types, binary or unary. Unary means that need only one operand, binary means that need 2 operands, minimum 2 operands. Okay, and binary are all this plus, minus, multiply, divide, this float division, this exponent, this even modulo, all are binary because all need minimum 2 operands. Unary are only 2, plus and minus. Okay, after that, the second category of operators is, which operator is? Relational operators that calculate the relation, or you can say they do the comparison. Is equals to, this is the very first. How to represent it? With the double equals to. Okay, this double equals to is actually a comparison. It is doing the comparison whether the value on the left is equals to the value on the right or not. If it is equals to, it will give you true. If it is not equals to, it will give you false. I will do examples with you. Is greater than, which symbol is this? 2 is greater than 3? I don't think so. It is greater than 3. So you will get false. Next one is greater than or equals to, means is 2 greater than or equals to 3? 2 is neither greater than nor equals to 3. So it again you will get false. Is 3 greater than equals to 2? Yes, although it is not equals to, both are not equals to, but 3 is greater than 2, so you will get a true. Okay. Next is less than or equals to, not equals to. 2 is not equals to 2. False. 2 is actually equals to 2. So we will do these examples here. Let's check their working. 2 is equals to 2. True. This is the output you will get. 7 is greater than equals to 8. 7 is neither greater than nor equals to. Both are false. This is also false. This is also false. False. 9 is not equals to 9. It is saying, it is asking you a question. 9 is not equals to 9. This is false because 9 is actually equals to 9. 5 is greater than 3. True. 4 is less than equals to 6. 4 is not equals to, but it is less than 6. So true. 4 is less than 4. sorry, 4 is not less than 4, so you will get a false. So this is how it will work, right? So there are some more topics that we will, I hope, cover next, and I'm just